Hi friends, we're back with another video about Amazon. That's what we're talking about this month, publishing on Amazon as a self-publisher. And so you need to get acquainted with the business end of this stick here. We're going to talk about Amazon costs and royalties, go over some common questions about how do they pay and what do they pay and when and why and all of that, okay? So let's jump in. When does Amazon pay royalties to authors? When will Amazon pay you? Amazon starts paying about 60 days after the first sale is made. And if you select direct deposit, there's no minimum payment threshold for that first deposit. So even if you sell one book in 60 days or whatever, a couple books, you only get a couple dollars, they're still going to pay you if you've selected direct deposit and have your bank account information in there. If you want a check, there's some other payment method, there's some minimum payment thresholds that they have listed on their website. But every month you're going to get a payment via direct deposit as long as you have your bank account information in there and you've made some sales. So you're wondering, how do I get paid faster? You don't. You just don't. Direct deposit is probably the fastest, but you can't get it faster than that first 60 days. You don't receive royalties any sooner, even if you are getting direct deposit through the fastest bank in the world. So that is kind of the first payment, and then it rolls on every month. How do ebook royalties work? How do they pay me if I've published an ebook? So we've talked about this a little bit, but Amazon basically offers two options. You get paid 70% or 35%, depends on your book price. You're eligible for 70% if you publish something that's not in the public domain, which you are, meaning like it's not out there elsewhere, right? We talked about KDP Select and exclusivity in the last video. We talked about some other options to produce your produce your book, your ebook, such as Google Play or Amazon Books. So as long as it's nowhere else, you're eligible for the 70%, and your ebook needs to be priced between $2.99 and $9.99. It needs to be at least 20% lower than the lowest price for your print version as well. So you can't have like an ebook at $9.99 and your print version at, $10.05 or something really close. It has to be at least 20%. What is that, $2 out of 10? So it has to be not, if you want it at $9.99, it has to be $12 or $13 for your hard copy. Again, I'm not a math person, so you're going to have to do that calculation on your own. But just keep in mind, it's essentially like you can't have your ebook and your hard copy competing against each other for those higher royalties on the ebook. You also must pay for delivery of your ebook. Does that sound fun? We're going to talk about this. Basically, you don't have to do anything. It's not like you have to go in there and click a button or send an email or anything like that. They just charge you a delivery fee that are deducted from your royalty payments, but those are your 70% royalty payments. Within the 35% plan, they have set something else up, but they're kind of saying, hey, we're going to give you 70% here, but you're going to have to follow some rules. You're going to have to do a couple other things. 70% royalties also apply to very specific countries, like books sold to customers in those countries. So, most of the US, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, English-speaking countries will have the 70% applied there. Some other, there's many other countries within that plan as well, mostly in the EU, but there are some other countries that you can have access to with your 70% royalties if you enroll in the KDP Select program, such as Mexico, Japan, India, Brazil. You get leveled up in royalties in those countries if you opt into that Select program. So ebooks have a different royalty structure than print books. So let's talk about print books. How do they pay you on print books? You essentially have two different distribution tiers for self-publishing. We're going to talk about paperbacks. They are, because they're hard copy books, there's costs involved. The costs are going to be deducted from your royalty payments. So if you go through Amazon's, Amazon only distribution channels, you can expect 60% for the list price of your paperback. If you distribute through Amazon's, they have an expanded distribution plan to some non-Amazon retailers like Barnes & Noble or Books A Million. Then your royalties get bumped down to 40. So you can either, again, get the benefit, dollar bills, by staying exclusive with Amazon, or you can go wider. You can extend your distribution and get paid a little lower. And 60 to 40, it's probably not a mammoth size amount, but it's 20%. That's a pretty big deal if you're selling some volume, and especially since royalties are usually calculated after all the costs are taken out, etc. This is kind of the area in which you start looking at other distribution options for your hard copy books. We talked about Ingram Spark and how they have an extended network, non-Amazon retailers and all of that. There may be different royalty structures at Ingram Spark that pay you more for something similar to like reaching things in Amazon's extended distribution plan. So let's say you were like, I want my book in Barnes & Nobles. Amazon offers you an option to do that, or maybe Ingram Spark does as well. Maybe other places do as well. And there are going to be different, possibly different royalty payments, royalty calculations for each platform that you look at. So if that's a goal of yours, if you're not wanting to be exclusively Amazon, then look elsewhere to see if you can find something that fits your needs a little bit better. You could do both. You could go through Amazon and go through Ingram Spark and all of that. There is some strategy involved in how you distribute your ebook, your hard copy, and all of that. Again, you're going to hear me say this over and over. It boils down to your goals, what you really want to do with your book, how you want to reach your readers. So let's talk about those ebook delivery costs. This kind of makes me chuckle because in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, all you got to do is click an email button. All you got to do is, upload the thing, right? And it sounds so easy, but, we're dealing with data. We're dealing with, when you deal with data, you deal with servers that have to house the data and energy that runs the servers and people who have to know how to hook all that up, right? So Amazon is putting effort and energy and, time and money into managing the distribution of an ebook, even though there's no like paper to print it on or ink or, any of that goes into a hard copy book. There's no shipping. Think of this as your ebook shipping cost, right? So when you're on the 70% royalty plan, your ebooks will be deducted, or the ebook cost, the ebook delivery cost will be deducted from your royalties. It can vary depending on the currency used by your readers, but if, they can charge something like 15 cents per megabyte, and, it depends on, the megabyte of your book, but, you may not see like a huge number come off the back end. Maybe it's $1. I don't know how many megabytes books usually are, but, they're going to charge you per megabyte. That cost is waived if you're on the 35% royalty plan. So again, something to kind of calculate and look into. The 35% royalty plan is what you are put on if your book is under $2.99 or over $9.99. So you may have, you may only get 35% of that $10, but you don't have to pay for delivery. So maybe that's something that interests you if you have a really big book file, a big, megabyte big, right? So again, look at these things and see how it shakes out. Ultimately, when it comes down to what royalty plan you're on, specifically when you look at book price, think about who you're trying to reach and whether or not they are going to be more interested in a book that is priced very low. Maybe you want to run some promotions and all of that. So you're going to have to look at some of these things. And then we're going to talk about the printing costs for your paperbacks. There's shipping, right? And all of that jazz. But what does it cost to print these things? Printing costs is, something that whether you're self-publishing or you work through a traditional publisher or another indie publisher, there's always going to be costs in printing a book. So printing costs can be calculated based on your book page count and like the size of the book. Well, I guess the size impacts the page count. So essentially it's the page count and then whether or not you're doing any color or black and white. Amazon will print the printing costs and show you before you upload, before you hit publish when you're uploading your book. So it will show you, oh, you have 200 pages, it's black and white, here's the cost for that. It will also suggest a minimum list price so that you don't essentially lose money, right? They're going like, here's the breakdown for you, here's the calculation. So as an example, Amazon will charge you $4.45 to print a 300-page book in black and white. So if you're already paying $4.45, you're not going to want your book to be like $5, right? You want it to be more so that you get the at least some money in return of your hard work, right? Remember, you're going to get a certain number of % of royalties. So it's list price minus cost, and then whatever's left, you get a percentage of that. Amazon gets the other percentage. So you want to look at these things in relation to the type of book that you're printing, the size and all of that. And again, they'll tell you what it's going to cost for printing. And this is your print on demand service. So if I go on and I buy a hard copy of your book, I'm buying one for myself. This is what it applies to. And then are there any other costs? Now, Amazon is a distributor or is a publishing platform that does not charge you anything to upload your book, right? Like it's free to hit the publish button. It's free, to have your book uploaded and all of that. But you're going to look at those print and delivery costs. They're coming out of your royalties. There may be some optional costs that you opt into that Amazon offers. They offer other things like maybe cover design or, some formatting and all of that. So just think about that when you're considering the overall kind of calculation of ROI and what this is going to cost you. Also, if you have some type of marketing costs that you're looking into, remember to consider that. Are you going to do some Amazon ads or maybe run some other promotional ads or promos outside that you're going to want to kind of take into some consideration when doing these calculations of what is your best book price and all of that. So just an overview of the costs that you may be looking at when you consider Amazon as your publishing platform. You certainly can change things as you upload them. After you upload them, if you have your book set on a certain price, when you click publish, you can go in and change them. Some of these things will shift for you. So just keep that in mind. If you pull the trigger, make a selection and go back and start thinking like, maybe I should do this instead. That's always changeable. So that is my video for today. Please come back for my next video so that we can continue getting to know this wonderful world of Amazon because there is so much more to talk about. I'm excited. Are you?